Hi there, I'm Madam Jess. I am the owner and founder of Kinked Atlanta, Kinky Education in Atlanta. And people like to ask me questions. They ask questions all the time, which is really great. I'm very privileged to be a person that people feel comfortable coming to with their intimate questions and problems and things that they're trying to work through when it comes to kink and fetish, their sex lives, and that sort of thing. So that is, somebody asked me recently, like, what was one of my, I guess, best attributes. And it's that, I don't know, people feel comfortable with me. They feel comfortable sharing with me, and that's really great. So for that reason, I started the Kinky Q&A. You've heard me talk about it before. And this is a program where you can log into the Kinked Atlanta website and anonymously type in your question. If it's kink, BDSM, fetish, polyamory related, you go ahead and type in that question anonymously. And then once a month, we host a Zoom call where I go over all of those questions. And we have a Zoom call coming up. The next one's on August 20th. So it's in a couple of weeks, where I will be answering the questions that have come through from our subscribers and the people who follow us. And one of the questions that I got recently was, how does STI testing work at play parties? And I want to address this a little bit because I think it's a common question. I know I had this question when I came out into the kink and BDSM world. I remember being very curious about going out to a public dungeon for the first time. And I really thought that there would be like a procedure at the door where you would have to prove your health and safety status or something. I actually had some hesitancy about attending my first public dungeon because I wasn't sure how comfortable I was with sharing my personal medical information with strangers, right? And so, but here's the truth of the news and the truth for you. When you go to a public play party, a sex party, a dungeon party, a kink party, fetish party, whatever it is, they don't check your STI results, okay? Like, there is nobody at the door asking you for your HIV status. There is nobody asking you about your sexual health and well-being, okay? Somebody did ask me about that, and the truth is that, as is often the case, you are responsible for your own personal well-being and safety. So if you're going to engage with someone, whether that is a kink activity or a sex activity or something in the middle, it's on you to have that conversation with the person that you're playing with. There is no guarantee, okay? And we talked about in some of the last videos that I filmed, I just talked about, asking when you're dating, asking people for their STI status or their test results, and being open and sharing that information with your partners. When people are going to these types of parties, a lot of times they're talking about pickup play or one night stands or whatever. And it's up to you. You have to decide what your risk profile is, but there is nobody, the host at the door is not checking that. There is no guarantee, and I think we make the mistake a lot of times of relying on the host of the party to be our safety net. And if we're going to this established party with established people in a public, quote, public space, that, some of us have this expectation that the venue or the host is going to keep us safe, or that they're going to make sure that everybody there is a good player, or that everybody there is STI negative, or whatever. And that's not the case at all, okay? So you are responsible for you. You have to have those questions, that conversation, and ask those questions to people that you're playing with. Now, there is a little bit of a caveat to that, and that is if you get in with a poly group, or if you go to a smaller private party where there is a focus on sexual safety and health, they may ask you for your STI results, but that's usually going to be like a small group of friends. So the only party situation that I can think of is, at one point there was a small group of us. I think there were like 8 people, and prior to each party, we would all go get a fresh STI test because we were open with one another. And what you have to remember too is even when you're doing kink activities, there can still be fluid exchange, right? And so you have to kind of understand your pathogens and have some knowledge of that and how those are transmitted and so forth. Because you don't actually always have to have penetrative sex to share share various STIs or various diseases. And you know, there are diseases worse than things that are labeled STIs, right? So you have to kind of do your due diligence. And if you are a person, if you feel sick, or if you have engaged in risky behavior and you're not sure, or if you suspect that you might have something, like, be the responsible person and go get checked out, or at least, you know, communicate that to your partners so that they have the option to make their own judgment call on whether or not they want to engage with you and how and what safety precautions they want to take and so on. So the whole point of this conversation is, what's the deal with STI results at public parties? And the deal is that that's on you. Unless the party specifically asks for it, and none of them do. Like I said, I have one group party situation ever, and I've been coming out in the kink and BDSM and the poly and the swingers and the whoever. I've been doing this for a long time, since my 18th birthday, okay? And I've had one party group has ever insisted that everyone within the group who was participating get STI tests. All right. So remember that Georgia's pretty high on the STIs. Syphilis is real, and there are worse things out there than STIs. Okay, like you can absolutely catch and get sick from other things that are not even sexually related. Mind your risk profile, have the conversations, be the responsible person, and I hope this helps you understand a little better what the expectations are when you go out to a play party or a sex party. Okay, thanks everyone. I'm Madam Jess with Kinked Atlanta, Kinky Education in Atlanta, and I appreciate your questions. Make sure you log in to the next Zoom call on August 20th. You can find... It's the very, very last virtual event we have on Eventbrite. So if you go to Eventbrite and look for Kinked Atlanta, you should be able, I think they set it to private though. That's why we're leaving Eventbrite, because they put everything on private. Nobody can find me. But you can go to the Kinked Atlanta website, and there is actually a Kinky Q&A. It has its whole entire own page, and you can figure out how to submit your question and how to log in and get the answers on August 20th. I hope to see you there. All right, everybody, take care.